What's up, guys? Scar for a Scar here, joined with Cayle McCreath, the OG Bravo Master. What have you got for us today?
Something completely unplayable.
What's that?
It's the old showstopper.
That's not a Starvo. Why'd you elect to play this over Starvo or even Olden?
I like to have fun when I play, and playing Starvo is just getting a bit boring. I feel like I'm losing brain cells every time I play it.
All right, well, let's see what you've got for us.
So yeah, we got the standard package of Bravo and his Anathos.
Yep.
You'll find that we've also got the Titan's Fist with the Rampart, so I can fatigue out some chains and bros and all that type of thing. So you normally pair these, so you take no arcane, you get free value on the Rampart, and it's a good way against chain of turning any blue pitch card into a 4-block every turn.
So you're just playing it against the Broom Blades?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not
Dash? Oh, sorry, not Dash.
Nah,
not Prism?
No. My plan against Dash in particular is just to go really aggressive. They have to take so many turns off to set up, and I'm just putting out way too much damage for them to keep up.
Okay, so that's the Room Blade set up there, and that's just the other cards there.
I've got my standard. I think we're at like set 50. I'm still playing Iron Rot legs. I used to be a fan of the Tome of Findale Mage Boots combo. But the format's a lot faster. It's also an extra 2-block in a deck, a card that doesn't really add to your game plan. It's just a nice life buffer.
You don't like the Ironhide legs?
No, you still have to pitch to it. This is just nice because it's like the last break point on like a Winter's Whale or something, or on a Snatch.
Yeah.
But the other leg piece I have is the one-time skippers.
That's for the Prism matchup, right?
It's for the Prism matchup and for one play only.
And what is that?
When I play that matchup, I don't give a shit about their auras. I'm going as aggressive as possible, turns 1 to 5. Trying to set up a heaved Pulverize in Arsenal with a Seismic Surge token. And the idea is, once I heave this, they can't react to anything. Now, if I've got them down to, say, 20 life in the first 3 or 4 turns, because they're taking damage to set up their auras, the idea of heaving this card, drawing your 4 blues because you're playing like 50.
The big stack, yep.
Yeah. The idea there is you then bait them into using their Arclight Sentinel in response to the Seismic Surge tokens. So having your one-time skippers to then use your Anathos to destroy their Arclight then means that you get another 14 damage to go straight to their face.
Yeah.
Their deck pitches for yellow, sometimes blue. If they lose their whole hand, they might
because
take...
it's quite expensive, playing up the Arclight.
Yeah, so if they're already down to 21, 22 life, and then they take 12 to 14, all of a sudden they have a board of auras, no shields, and they have to block
everything. And just go straight face.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you play 2 of these. That's the one play that gets you there. We play 2 of the Pulverize, basically because we're on the Showtime Imposing Visage package.
Interesting.
So the thing with these cards, which I'll pull out here, with 2 Pulverize in the deck and the Showtime and the Imposing Visage, it gives you 8 ways, turn 1, to have a heaved Pulverize in your arsenal. The moment you do that and you're carrying resources forward and you're doing it off a Showtime, it's like playing with a 6-card hand and a threat in the following turn, which allows you to dominate a Pulverize. You can pummel it, you can tear asunder it. If you get the Dream stack, you can come in with the blue Embolden as well. You can get a turn where you go Blessing, Embolden, heave the Pulverize, and then you're coming in for 17 alone, with a few resources up. You can still pummel it, make it 20 plus.
Yeah, and all these cards are just block free and pitch for free, apart from the Blessing.
Block 3 blues that have relevance in the game.
Yeah, so you're not having to play just random cards anymore?
Not at all.
Nice.
Like this card here is absolutely broken.
Yeah, talk about that card a little bit because we haven't seen much of that card.
Yeah, so anytime you can get a Showtime gives you threat selection, gives you a free card in hand, and the fact that it has Go Again means that you can get your Showtime, put into play, and you can still swing the hammer.
Yeah.
It's good value. At a pinch, early game against something like Chain or Briar, you can dig up a Blessing of Deliverance and maybe gain 3 life or something. It's just good value. I've had some games where I've paid the 7 and gone for an Embolden just to pass on turn 1.
And what does Embolden do in the deck?
Well, it's just a free 3 damage. You're playing 6 Blessing with 3 blue Embolden. Sometimes you turn 1, you're just playing out an Embolden, making a Surge and arsenaling a card. Okay. A 14 damage crippling is still a lot harder to block than like an 11 power crippling.
So what blues are you running in the deck?
Too many.
Go for them.
We'll just move these out of the way.
So you're running triple Visage, triple Showtime.
Triple, yep. We got our Macho Grandes, which are a nice turn 1 play or a late game finisher. We got the Thunderquakes, which a lot like the Pulverize, being able to heave on turn 1 doesn't necessarily mean that you have to commit these resources to playing this. You can heave this, leave it in your arsenal, and then draw a crippling and 2 blues, and you can just pitch and dominate. And then you can come in for 11 dominate and still have this in the arsenal to just pitch 2 blues and come in for 8 the next turn.
Yeah.
It's just another way of carrying over a free card on turn 1, which I think don't underestimate that ability.
And it's also 8 power, right?
8 power, really good for rouse, really good for Zealous belting. We've got the Cranial Crush, which, a 6/8/3 is good enough already. Just the fact that sometimes the effect matters, like in the mirror when they're playing Blessing and Bolden themselves. It's just good value.
Yeah.
We got the Poor Man CNC.
Your favourite card, right?
I believe this is the best blue attack that Guardian has access to. You always get to represent Pummel due to a Seismic Surge token. 7 power, it works with the
This forces awkward blocks, right? Because I either have to have a defense reaction or a card and equipment.
Well, you tend to get like 1 card and equipment, and then a Pummel can be a blowout.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 6 powers that I'm playing are just personal preference. I anticipated seeing a lot of Rampart, so having a buckling blow that can pressure that force a block is niche. It can really be any blue 6, but I just prefer this one because when you're playing, if you pummel this after they block and you get to put a counter on like a skull cap or something, it's effectively turning it into an 8 power. So just a nice interaction. The Debilitate is the other one I've chose because the moment you put a -2 on something, you're basically gaining 2/3 of a card. You can run anything you want.
Good against go wide decks.
Yeah. Then we get down to the blue threats. Rouse the Ancient, so many high-powered cards. You just want that ability to go wide.
Do you know how many 8+s you're playing? Is it be about like 15-ish?
No, there's 9 8s and 3 disable, and then there's 8 reds. So like 20 plus attacks.
20, damn. So yeah, it's pretty much when you say it's always going to be live.
So Rouse is always good. And again, the Pulverize on this is just nothing.
Yeah. It's the 1 card Rouse, right?
Yeah. We're playing the One Heart of Findo, signed by James White.
Nice.
This card here is the 43rd blue, which 43 is actually the magic number for this deck. We need it with the Titan's Fist Rampart fatigue plan. Specifically against Briar, you end up pitching this card 6 or 7 times towards the end of the game. So it can be
effectively 2 sigils.
Yeah, and it's still a blue, when you're block, it's just good value.
Yeah. Are you playing that just against Rune Blades, or are you playing it in everything?
I play it against Rune Blades and any matchup where I need the 43rd blue.
Okay.
Once we go through the red package, I'll explain how the red breakdown works.
Nice.
As I said, we got the 3 Blessings, 3 Showtimes, just all staple cards, 3 Emboldens. The card that probably shouldn't have been printed. Anathos is 7. You see the Winter's Whale decks just, there's a difference between 5 and 7. And
definitely.
But, when you're making a Surge and having a Pulverize and then you draw 4 blues and you've got Terrace under, like 15, dominate, discard 2, next attack gets -4. It's the only true,
basically a time skip,
It's the only true time warp we have in Fab.
Hopefully.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind a few more. There's the Visage, as we said. And then we get to our defense package. Now, the thing with Bravo being able to play the blues as defensive cards is, there's no real cost to putting in the deck. Like the Unmovable is, it's a blue 3 cost. It works with Anathos, you can pitch it. And you're not having the awkward red reacts that can really get clumped up and dilute the hand. The 8 mode on this is fine. A lot of people like to play the reds, but I still like to be able to pitch what I'm playing because, I like to be greedy with.
And are these just for like other Guardians?
Oh, Guardians, against the Runeblade deck, being able to prevent an arcane damage and still block 5 off 2 cards. Just.
Do you play it against Briar if you think they're going to be on the mount pack?
I still play them.
Yeah, nice.
Sure, they have CNCs and exudes, but you are going to take damage in that matchup. You just have to pick when you do it.
CNC's not the best card against Guardian, though, right?
It still hurts if it's timed right. It's how I actually lost at Nationals.
Right.
I lost due to having a CNC come down with a 2 block instead of a 3. So that there caught me out.
Is that why you're not a fan of the 2 blocks?
No, absolutely hate it.
Inefficient, eh?
Yeah.
So what do we got there? Are those the big beefy frets?
Yeah, so that's all the blues, the core engine of the deck. We get to the reds, we got the, we'll just move this shit out of the way.
Of the cold foils.
Yeah, it's rubbish. We got our big bodies, the spinals, the cripplings, the pulverize, your time walks.
What's the reason for only playing the 2 Pulverize? Is it just a matter of space, or you prefer to?
3 gets a bit clunky. The first one you want to tutor up on turn 1, and the second one you want to have late game as your finisher. You'll find with the third one it just makes your hands really awkward. Sometimes just having the taxing effects, the time walks isn't enough. You do need an extra bit of pressure.
Yeah.
So that's where the Zealous belting comes in. There's an interesting thing with the Zealous belting and the Blessing of Deliverance. They both cost 2, meaning that if you pitch a blue, you get to carry a resource through to the next turn. When you look at your breakpoints of 10, 7, 5, like that extra 1 resource to make it a 9-6 means that 3 card play, 2 card play.
Yeah.
So being able to do that and still come through with Anathos is just good pressure, especially against decks like Prism, where the first couple of turns you just want to put plenty of damage on them.
So you like to just pitch 2 blues to play the Zealous, Tectonic, and swing with the weapon, right?
Yeah. And
you get pretty much just float a resource to the next turn?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
The Pummel is standard. You can play the blue Pummel as well. I think it's probably a bit greedy, and we've already got too many non-attacks, and we don't want to dilute the rouse.
What about the decks that are running 9 Pummels?
What decks? But no, it's... When you're playing this deck, you want to be aggro. Quite often, when we play into Prism, we're playing our 43 blues and we're playing the aggro package. It's an expensive deck. You have to be able to pay for things.
Yeah.
As we said, the Blessing works a lot like the Zealous. It turns Anathos into 6 power and it carries a resource.
Yeah. So you like to play the red Blessing as an aggro card more so than a control card?
Yeah,
You're not too concerned about the life gain?
I'm not too concerned about the life gain. It is nice. There are matches where the life gain matters, but we run Emboldens, we run Blessing. We just want to spike turn 1.
Yeah.
Turn 1 Blessing of Deliverance into make a Surge token, into play a Sigil and heave a Pulverize. You're at 45, 46 life, and you've got a 2 card hand that's coming in for 14. It's strong.
Yeah.
But on that, once we go to the defensive side of the Reds, it's we got our 3 Sigils. Now, this card is really underrated, but being able to bluff it as an attack reaction, I'm pretty well known for playing multiple Pummels.
The straight up Pummel.
Yeah, so quite often, you'll take a hit, you'll play a disable for 7 undominated, and obviously you've taken damage to keep that hand, and the read straight away is Pummel, which can force an overblock or something. Being able to just Sigil and get your value back, has made your opponent block with 1 more card. When you're playing against decks like Chain, where they come in for 4, then they come in for 5, quite often you're committing 2 cards to your 5 attack or something, and you're burning that 1 defensive value. This card just lets you diversify your blocks a bit and just gain that extra 1 or 2 life here or there.
Yeah, I used to see a lot of play in the early days.
Yeah, I still think it's very strong. Being able to bait a CNC, if you leave it in your arsenal or something and you can make your opponent commit into it, just, it's niche little plays, but turn 1 it's free. You're just trying to make as much free value as you can, and between your 6 Blessings, your 3 Sigils and your Heart, there's a lot of life gains floating around in this deck. Now, the other defensive stuff is just our Fates and our Sinks. In a deck that wants to filter hands or control the top of the deck for the Blessings, we just want the 0-4 answers.
Yeah.
The breakpoint is nice. Key thing is it stops a Winter's Wail. Where you sit one in the arsenal, they can come through for a 8 power break ground or something. You can block with 1 card and then react. Just reset and go again.
Yeah.
Quite often, if you're playing this package, you're probably taking something like these out. But sometimes when you're playing the older mirror, you can just run a 70 card pile.
Yeah.
Which I did that before. Dennis Zhang wasn't too happy.
I bet he wasn't.
Top 20 a PT, but he can't get close in the Guardian mirror. So. And the last card that we play on the list is just the 1 Remembrance. We're very much a red-blue deck. Just being able to get your threats back at a pinch, or your go wide stuff, or Terra Sunders, or, at a pinch you can get your Blessings back and just get your life out of there. It's just different situations.
So what's your mindset when you're playing the Remembrance in matchups? Do you play it with a certain card that you're going to Remembrance back in when you bring it in?
Yeah. So the key thing with the Oldham matchup in particular, a Pulverize is going to do a big hit at the beginning of the game. It's going to be a big hit at the end of the game. Zealous belting from Arsenal in that matchup is also too much damage for all their 2 blocks to deal with. But even like 5 or 6 crippling crush is a lot for them to have to fight through. You know, they run defense reacts, but you just have all these ways of pushing through.
Yeah.
So, you know, Tear Asunder's another good target to get back. Like, it's just a nice value card. Like, it's probably not needed, but, you know, as a control deck, you have to block aggressively. And this card is just like another 3 copies of your best card.
What matchups would you say you play the Remembrance in the most?
Anything control, anything like Dorinthia, Rhinar, you know, decks that haven't seen played since like 2019. You know, I'll play it against Oldham. I'll play it against Starvo because quite often I'm being quite aggressive with the blocking.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just it's a nice little one-off.
Okay. What would you have to say to someone who might think of like picking this deck up to play around with?
If you've come from playing Chain, Briar, or Starvo, you're going to have to pick this deck up and you're going to have to block a lot with it. You're going to have to learn when to take damage to make a pivot turn. You can't just sit there and just run every threat out first cycle because you're just going to end up gassing yourself. At the beginning of the game, your deck is blue heavy and threat light. You need to get to a point where your deck is threat heavy and blue light, where you're stacked it so you're going red 3 blue, so that way you can 1 card block and just come through with pressure. The idea there is late game your opponent's deck is diluted, their big power cards are gone, they're down to their dregs, and that's where you're just consistent back-to-back power turns. Where if you try to do that early, you might have a power turn, but then you brick for the next 2.
So that's what a typical Guardian strat. Early game is just a block and attack with the hammer.
Yep, 100%.
And then when you get to the second, maybe the 3rd cycle, that's when you start playing the big attacks.
Yeah.
Hopefully you've milked a few defense reactions from them.
And I mean, the Remembrance there, I mean, early to mid game, you can run threats out and just tax your resources because you know the Remembrance is going to fill it up for the 2nd cycle. You know, you don't have to be pitch stacking from turn 1. You can start midway through the game after your Remembrance to a showtime. You know, because you just want to make sure that your end game is strong.
Okay.
You want to get Sigils out, your Blessings out, your Beltings out, your Reacts out, and you just want to be blue and threat.
Awesome, man. If there was anything you'd change this deck in hindsight, have you got anything in mind, or are you just happy the way it is?
It's hard to say. I think it's fine the way it is. The Prism matchup's still not great, but I feel like for the way I play and the way I feel like Guardian should play, I feel like it's pretty much there.
And when you decided to play this today, what were you expecting to see a lot of?
To be honest, I was pretty drunk when I decided to make it up. I just wanted to have a bit of fun.
Prepared for whatever.
Yeah.
All right, well, cheers for joining us, man, and congrats on top 8ing with one of the OG heroes.
No worries.
All right, see you next time.